You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. That's my little song for my little...
Oh.
I got two little fans who live with me, and they say, you never say anything for us, so this is for you guys. Now go to bed. Good evening. This is Dana Michelle on Dana Being Dana, and I am here to talk about one of my favorite topics, something that I'm incredibly passionate about. And you all are tuning into a reunion show because my guests here tonight have been with me. We talked about it in the back. Nine years. We met 9 years ago and started a mentoring program. This show is about mentoring. We are all very passionate about mentoring, and we want to use this opportunity and this show to inspire people to mentor. If you want to be a mentee, to find a mentor. So it's going to be a power-packed hour talking about mentoring. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my panel. We'll start with you, Mel.
Okay, so Mel Flowers. Is anything else?
Yeah. Mel and I work together in our legal capacity.
That's right. So Dana and I have known each other for about, I guess, it's actually more than
Longer than
right?
that, yeah.
You know, although we started the mentoring sometime, we still work together, right? At a company to be unnamed, right? So obviously in-house practicing law together. So it's a pleasure, right? One, just to be here. Fantastic just to know you. So really happy to have you reach out and have us talk about this topic. So thanks a lot.
Thank you. And Mel is one of my mentors. We'll get to that later. Sydney.
Good evening, Sydney Galladay. I'm an educator of 17 years now. I'm the principal at John B. Drake Elementary School, and I'm happy to be here.
Chris
Robbins, I'm an educator as well. Been an assistant principal at John Marshall High School. I've been in education for about 27 years, so kind of date myself.
Tell him.
You're still young.
27 years of impact.
And Sydney and I worked together at one point for about nearly 10 years together.
Yeah.
So, she's my food.
It's so good to see you all. We have not been back together since our mentoring program ended. And it ended, of course, because the school closed down in the way that it was, in the way that we knew it. And we'll get to that as well.
Well, we haven't been back together as a foursome. We've been together here and there, especially with you, Dana D. We catch up from time to time.
And it's so nice to get together.
Oh, I missed that.
It's so nice to get
Give my
together.
invitation now.
So let's not make it like we don't see each other.
Exactly. That's true. That's true. Well, it looks like we have a caller. Hello? This is Dana Being Dana.
Hi you guys, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, Mr. Fowler. Do you know my voice?
Yeah.
Y'all really?
She asked Mel first. Do you recognize that voice?
I do. Like, wait a minute. Did you know this was going to happen?
Of course I knew it was going to happen.
Oh.
Y'all were supposed to guess.
Hey.
Sydney guessed right away. Who is it, Sydney?
That's Yevon Kite, my sword.
My goodness. What?
Who now has a Tennessee accent out here.
That's right.
Oh, my goodness.
So, Gabrielle, why don't you tell us your name and where you're from and how you know the four of us?
Well, my name is Gabrielle Kite. I am from Chicago, Illinois. I currently attend Tennessee State University in Nashville, Tennessee. And I know all four of you guys because you have made a very meaningful impact in my life throughout the years.
So Gabrielle she was a surprise mystery caller. She was a part of our mentoring program, which we're getting ready to talk about. And so she is a product of the efforts of so many people. But she's a class act all by herself. But I wanted her to be on the show because we can't talk about mentoring without any mentees.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because that means you're not mentoring anybody.
No doubt.
So I'm so happy that you're here and she's joining us on the panel. She'll be with us for the full hour.
Sweet.
So let's talk about what school, this all started and kind of how all this began.
Wow. So in 2007, Chris, Richard Smith, and I were the trio at Richard T. Crane Tech Prep High School on the west side of Chicago. We started our leadership journey there together and saw the school until the phase out, and now it's a new med-tech prep program. And during that time, our focus was to give our students the best educational experience that we could give them and that they deserve. And so Yabrion was one of the first participants in the program from the inception of the program. So that's amazing.
And just to kind of piggyback on what Sydney said, a big thing for us was exposure. So we wanted to expose our students to it as much as possible. You know, a lot of them growing up in the inner city, literally in the shadow of downtown, had really never spent any time down there or mixed with professionals down there. Many of them hadn't been outside the city to see other things. So it was very common for us to jump in cars and on buses to take students to different college campuses. And this as administrators, usually, you know, administrators don't do field trips like we did, but we were always on the go with our students and taking them all over and exposing them to things. So that was a real big thing for us.
At the same time, I was in private practice at a law firm, and Mel was in-house at the company where we're at now, and we saw a need and a desire to give back. And we wanted to pick a school that had challenges and that didn't have the support that they needed from the outside. And I think Crane was, in other words, we didn't want to be someplace where we couldn't make as big of an impact.
Right.
We wanted to be somewhere that would be very impactful to the things that we wanted to do. And I feel like it was day one. I mean, we came in to the school and we met with you all first. There were other individuals from both of our organizations who all got together to meet. And we pitched our idea. A group of lawyers, basically both in-house and private practice, who want to commit to a program where we want to see the students through, you know, at least all 4 years, even and beyond. You know, Yabrion and I have remained in touch, obviously. Excuse me. And so, but it's investing in them, not only in time but also energy. You know, let me see your grades. What do you want to do? What do you want to be? All that other stuff. Yabrion, what's your major? You're a senior now at Tennessee State.
Oh my gosh.
What's your major?
Yes, criminal justice.
Criminal justice. Hey.
And hold on now. So Yabrion, the last time I saw you, what were we doing? Did we do the mock trial at John Marshall?
We
you
did.
come?
Yes.
Yeah.
she was there.
So we still have pictures of that too, and then I had my daughters, you know, and if
Oh my
you remember that, and they still remember you, you know,
Yeah.
and what I really loved about that group, see, we were going on Saturday, right?
Yep.
And so that's how you know who's committed.
Who's committed.
And you know, they were showing up, and then they were getting coached, and it was just really a great experience. And I always remember Yabrion, I said, you know, when you show up on Saturday, I know you got it in you. And there's going to be something that I'm going to say in a few years. I'm going to be looking at you saying, I love what you are now. So that's just fantastic.
And oddly enough, I was there that Saturday with her.
Right.
And
Because you had to be.
Yeah.
That was
well, like you said, it was Saturday. We could have been doing anything, especially everybody knows how hard we all work
That's
during the
it.
week.
That's it.
And you know, especially you two, I know what your time is worth, and that was one of the things I always tried to explain
You
to
sure
the
did.
students
You sure
when
did.
they came out. I was like, attorneys get paid by the hour. They bill
That's
people
right.
by the hour. And, you know, high price guy like Mel is costing us a lot to be here.
Real expensive.
So, you know, I
Right,
really
so we-
wanted them to understand that you all was doing something
Yeah.
that you didn't have to do, and you could have been making money instead, but you decided to, you know, come out and be with us. And the same thing, y'all remember taking y'all to go eat afterwards too. Y'all got them on pocket.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, I remember that day quite
that was-
like it was yesterday
It was
myself.
like
you know.
yesterday. But you know what's real cool about this too is So when we sat down and we were picking the schools, we had to have a school that had administration that was committed, right?
Absolutely.
And one thing we can say, like for the 7 years that we did that, you guys, that trio, stayed together. We asked you to do a lot too, right? And you were doing it. And we know that was tough though too. So that was one of the reasons why, even when it became tough, we knew this is a program we continue to invest time in. And largely because of you guys too. You have to know that.
I certainly
Yeah.
appreciate it, but I think we felt the same amount of love from you all, so it was just easy to do.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
know, if people gonna do
Yeah.
this for us and our kids, that's the least we could do.
And I think it's the shared love
Yeah.
with all of us. And I think that our energy
Yeah.
and our synergy
Mhm.
together came top down for the students. I think the students benefited from the administration and the volunteers really gelling and really coming up with creative programming. Everybody was passionate and committed to the program. And I'm hoping that this show inspires people to get involved, to show up for schools near you, schools not near you. I think everybody has something to offer when it comes to mentoring. And I want to talk about how easy or not easy or difficult do you think it was to start a mentoring program?
How easy was that?
Yeah. What, in other words, what do you think of the beginning of our program?
I think the beginning, it was a process.
Yeah.
I won't necessarily say it was difficult or easy, but it definitely was a process, picking the right students, even developing exactly what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it. We knew we wanted to do something, but
Right.
what was that something? So it probably evolved during that whole first year
It sure did.
until, you know, it became what it eventually was. So I would say that about it more than anything.
I think we learned a lot along the way as well. A lot of trial and error. Students, you need to be more interactive and involved with them versus just talking to them.
Oh, yeah.
People can get bored really easily, and the onus is on the mentor to come out of their comfort zone a bit as well,
And to
right?
relate, and to
And
relate.
to be able to relate.
You know, one of the things that's interesting when you talk about how it evolved, that first year, right? I think we started with 8 to 11 students, I think. I remember that. And we're in there like, okay, let's figure this out. So we come in as lawyers thinking, hey, we're going to talk about being a lawyer, right? But kids have different interests, right? And we had to pivot. That was the other thing. So it was, the mentoring was, okay, you got to listen. You got to be able to adapt, right? And so whatever you had, we had a program tore it up, right? Let's just talk to them now and figure out what they want to do, right? And I think we realized at the end of the day, and you said it earlier, it was about exposure, right? And that means in all different ways, all different people, a rainbow of people as well, right?
Yeah.
Which is critical. And one of the things that's interesting, we brought in a ton of folks, right? You know, some that weren't black, some who were a little nervous, like, I don't know if they'll be comfortable with me. I'm like, no, they see you all the time, right? Now what you need to understand is that this is gonna be a transition for you to get comfortable and give more of yourself and be comfortable doing it, right? Because the kids are gonna be there, but what folks didn't really realize, it was two ways. So while we were mentoring the kids were actually mentoring the adults.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was part of the program,
Yeah.
really intentional, right?
I was about to say, I remember quite well many of the volunteers and mentors saying how much they got out of mentoring, how much they learned. So,
Oh,
yeah, I would agree that was a
Oh,
big
yeah.
part of it.
So I particularly like that the program was fluid, like there were no restrictions, everybody was flexible, we could develop what we wanted it to be. And so I appreciated the diversity because, as you mentioned, there were diverse backgrounds of people who were coming to the table to mentor students. I appreciate the candidness of the students,
Oh, yeah.
of the mentors, and just the openness. You all opened your arms to us and brought us into your facilities, your labs, to give students exposure on that level. There were shadow days, there were lab days where they could learn and be exposed to all of these different things. So being able to say, hey, we want students to have these opportunities, that was most meaningful. So we had a vision, we were all on the same page with that vision, and it didn't matter what background people were from. So that's what mentoring should be all times.
Do you remember the name of the program?
MVP?
Amazing, right? That's right.
Do you remember what MVP
Mentor and be a
stood
person.
for?
Mentee with vision and purpose,
That's
right? Yeah, it worked. It worked, you know?
Gabrielle, do you remember your first impressions of the program when you started?
I was really just excited to be around a bunch of lawyers, to be honest. I was like, oh my God, it's my first time actually having a one-on-one conversation with people that's from a law firm.
Yeah.
It was really different. And I think I was really excited to even do the mock trial. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that was my highlight.
I just remember. That's right.
You killed it.
Sure did.
You killed it. You were awesome. And one thing I would say, and this is one thing I want potential mentors out there who are listening to understand, is that you don't know how much of an impact you can make on kids. You think you're just talking to students,
Oh, yeah.
but you're the first lawyer, doctor, entrepreneur, business person, church leader, religious leader, teacher, administrator, principal, that they've really had a chance to encounter when there's not something wrong, right? Obviously, everybody's met a doctor when you've been sick, right? But to sit and talk to a doctor about where you got started and what medical school was like, how long does it take? You know, I remember one time asking students, well, how long do you think it takes to be in law school? They're like 7 years. You know, it takes 3. But being able to answer those questions in a safe space. And so that's why I just want people to understand you have such a wealth of knowledge that you can bring to any mentoring table.
Well, let me.
Go ahead.
I just want to add impact, right? So for folks who are still trying to figure out whether they should do it. So just an example in Crane. So for the years we did it, we would look at kids that would transfer in from, let's say, another school, right? And we were doing grade reviews, right? So we'd see their grades, and their grades were probably okay, right? But then, for some reason, they took a dip, right? Okay? So then you start to realize that peer pressure is very strong for these kids, right? So some of the kids were very smart, but they would just sort of just lax off on their grades or sort of, I don't want to say dumb it down, but that would happen, right? But then when you would say, I expect for your grades to be up, and I'm going to be reviewing these grades, and I know you can do it, the next grading semester, you would see those grades shoot up. And I would be amazed to see just how just that word, right, that expectation, right, would get these kids motivated to do it. These are simple things, right? You know, simple things that you can do. Exactly.
That's interesting. I was going to say something else, but you made me think of something else. I remember, I don't know, a few years back, maybe 10 or more, talking to somebody at the school, and they was asking, well, when did you decide to go to college? And I was like, this is an adult, and I was like, there wasn't no decision for me to go to college. That was the expectation in my house. I never thought about anything else. Our parents told us you all going to college. My father would say it all the time. You need to go to college so you don't have to work like I did for a living. Tell my sister, I got 3 sisters, I want y'all to go to college so you won't have to depend on men for, the day. So that was the way we raised. But yeah, I mean, they just old school Southern people, so it's nothing fancy about it. Both of them, took my, that's a whole other story. But, high school, so we were all first generation people, but what reminded me of it is some kids just simply don't have that support of somebody saying,
that's right.
You can do this,
That's
you
right.
can do that, this is what I expect
That's right.
of you. And like you said, that simple, just saying, this is my expectations for
Speak those
you,
words, I'm telling you.
made a difference.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I was gonna say about the attorneys, when, and you kind of touched on too, most urban, well, I can say it, black kids in the city, their experiences with attorneys is not particularly
Positive,
a good one.
right.
So to be able to meet all of you all in this light and get to know you just as people, I mean, I think probably the 2 most bashed people on TV, as far as TV shows go, are teachers and attorneys.
Right.
You always see how we portray. So just to see you all in a different light, get to know you, just know you regular people. You got kids, you go to the grocery store, you wear jeans, just all that kind of stuff. For them to understand, like, this is not so far from
It's
who
attainable.
I am.
It is.
Yeah.
It's tangible.
Yeah.
You can do it too, right? When you learn that mentors are just people too. I think that's so important. And now we have Gabrion, who's pursuing a career in criminal justice, which is so exciting.
Oh, that's great.
And that's why I love keeping in touch with mentees over the years. I've got mentees from law school, college, high school, every level you can make an impact. So we're gonna reminisce a little bit, right? I want to hear from you on what were some of your favorite or most memorable sessions that we had.
Can I go first with each of you?
You can go first. Yeah, whatever you want.
Okay, so with you, I remember I actually even had fun when you came down here to Nashville, Tennessee, when you were actually visiting, and you made sure you came to visit me. You took me out to eat. You made sure my head was still straight. And I was going off over the food. And of course, you fed me. What did you eat pizza? You know I love pizza. And you actually just talked to me to make sure that I was still doing everything I was supposed to do in school. You made sure that I feel on track. My grades was where it was supposed to be. And you told me always, so if I ever would say anything, just to let you know, and which I do.
Yep.
So you always made sure that I was okay. Like, those are my favorite things with you.
Oh, wow. That's
The
great.
flowers. I remember the day we was in the mock trial, and I was sitting there like, I don't think I want to do this no more. And you was like, why? I'm like, it just seems like a lot. And you actually sat me down and you told me I could do anything I set my mind to. And to actually listen to you, I sat there and said, yep, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, he's going to be the first person I tell. You know what you told me that they said in my child? Know your book, you got the things like it's a lot. And I love your daughter. Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow. I'm going to make sure. First off, just you saying that made my night, first off. That on multiple levels, right? That's why you do it. That's why you do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
So,
I actually had a mock trial a couple of months ago. I think it was it's the start of my internship, and we had to do a mock trial. And I was actually sitting there. I was like, I moved in on this end a couple of years ago with Mr. Flowers, and I told him, I don't want to do this anymore. And I sat there front and center,
oh,
and I listened to everything. And I'm like, I told myself, yes, I'm doing this.
fantastic. Fantastic. What else? Drop the mic. That's it. That's it. You,
Mr. Robbins, my second father. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, dear?
I am good. You know, my favorite thing with you, even though I'm all the way down here in Nashville, Tennessee, I remember one time you saw a post on Facebook that I had made, and you made sure you called me to make sure I wasn't losing my mind. And I told them, like, no, I'm not losing my mind. You told me I better not let no young boy, no nappy-headed boy side. I'm not, oh my gosh, I remember that conversation like it was yesterday. Like, you made sure that if I had any intention with somebody, you made sure that I kept you wanted me to keep myself first and my schoolwork first. And I'm still doing it. So you don't have to worry about nothing. No nappy-headed boy, none of that.
I said the same thing when I went down to Nashville. Like, where they at?
And let me be kind of clear about that. Obviously, you're a young woman and you're on the campus, so this, I'm not unrealistic where I don't believe that you'll associate with a young man, although it hurts me to say that. But just understand your focus and what you need to do. I'm glad you got that much out of what I was saying and not thinking that I'm trying to tell you don't live, because that's a whole nother story. Being college campuses, I love my time on college.
oh yeah, we all got past. Okay, so
And we were actually just talking
That's
about
right.
that before the show started.
that's right.
And what that's like. And if we get a chance to get into that piece, I'd really like to.
No, I think we shouldn't get into that.
No, I mean, not what we were doing, but
No,
just that mentoring piece with college
Yeah, I'm just
students
joking.
Yeah.
and some of the things we did. So I'm glad you heard me and took it for what it meant. And
That's
not
great.
As you could have took it as a young person, like, dude, are you serious? I'm like, how
Like you said, second father. Oh,
So
that's
what
a
do
nice
you,
compliment.
to round this out, what do you remember most about Sydney
we're gonna have to
and
get the
the
tissue.
program?
Oh my gosh, where do I start? I really don't know where to start. Like every time I have memories with Miss Holiday, I want to cry because I miss her so much.
We got a tissue.
Right.
I warned you all, you need this.
I didn't expect all of this now, hold up.
But Gabrielle ended up pledging the same sorority that that Sydney's
You
in.
knew that, right?
Yeah, oh, of course.
She was a roar,
So,
like
me down here, huh?
did you
I'm
go?
not gonna cry because you my eyelashes, so I can't cry.
Uh-oh.
Miss Holiday.
Yes, ma'am.
My very first day at Crane High School, I remember you actually was one of the very first employees to, oh God, who's gonna cry?
Oh,
You took me under your wing, and I didn't expect it at all. But from the very first day of being at Crane, you became my second mother, you became my best friend, you became a mentor to me, my big sister, just like my all in one. My favorite memory with you, I mean, I used to just come to your office when I was having a bad day, when I just wanted to cry, scream on your shoulder, or when I wanted to eat your food.
Yes, to eat your food.
Yes, I love you too.
And we always had conversations that always made me cry and probably could made you cry. And you always told me that I was going to go on to do great things.
yeah.
You are actually one of the main reasons I decided to join Sigma Gamma Rho.
Of course.
No doubt.
Of course.
I couldn't influence her other ways. Try as I might.
You know.
But I will say, you know, I think that both Sydney and Christopher, you guys did such a great job of really embracing your students. And what we wanted to do was just come in and underscore that and support you in that. Your arms, but are so wide, right? And we just wanted to help you embrace and hold more students. So I want to hear from you all about your favorite session from the MVP program.
First, I want to embarrass y'all ground a little bit to talk about kind of our first experience with her. You know what I probably did. My brother used to literally catch the bus from the south side without a gun every day, drop her off, and then come pick her up from school on the bus and take her back. And I would be like, and we live kind of near each other, so I would be like, can I give you a ride home? No. We can make it up. We don't need a ride. Like, I'm like, I drive right back to your house every day. Like, come on, let me take you. So eventually mom started letting me take her home because, you know, as y'all young, started getting more active and stuff. I think she was cheerleading and all that stuff in school. Would be in games like, so come on, like, I'm not finna put this child on the bus, so you're on the bus this time. Like, let me take her home. So, you know, in the middle of it, just kind of go at it all the time, kind of lovingly and jokingly. But for me to see her mature and to grow from somebody who was getting dropped off and picked up from high school every day until a aspiring lawyer, that's big.
That's great.
Yeah, that's a cool
great.
story.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a roll.
So getting back to some of the programs, what was your favorite session? I've got one.
So I have two.
Okay.
So my first favorite session was when we went to the Bulls games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those were great.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of exposure, those were my first time in the box seat, so it was great.
Yeah.
And then there was a time when we were at the labs.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not supposed to say the name of the company, but we were at the labs and students, and we were able to see the new technology and upcoming technology and being able to be exposed to that. It was awesome. I was like, this is great. And I'm like, if I had these experiences when I was in high school, elementary school, where would I be now? Like, this is driven off of strictly like, I know that there's a better world out here for me. So if I'd had all of these things that I try to provide for my students, or we try to provide for our students, we could change the world.
Agreed.
So.
Agreed.
I think that's so important, and not just that, but what Chris was talking about earlier. Many students hadn't even been to the downtown area, in the loop. And Crane it's right off of 290. You can see it from the highway. It's close to the United Center. So in terms of proximity, you can get from the loop to the school in less than 15 minutes. And but many students who actually come from all over to attend, but many students hadn't been downtown. So just the exposure of being in a law firm, being in a technology lab or a technology center, those are experiences in and of themselves, which I think is tremendous. So that's great. Mel?
Okay, so for me, I think it was when we brought in Jackie Taylor from the Black Ensemble Theater, and so we changed up how we were doing conflict resolution, and she used theater, right, and how actors actually prepare, right, you know, for a show, and I thought that was really cool how she took the kids, you know, through different routines, how to control their breathing, how to control their emotions, cry on demand, or whatever you need to do, which is all very important, right, when you start talking about how to manage and control yourself, right, in conflict. So that was really important. And I think outside of, and by the way, I gotta give Jackie big plug. By the way, if you guys don't know Jackie, you know, she's a prolific actress, fantastic. But nevertheless, outside of that, I loved our etiquette demonstrations. So what I loved about that is when,
And what was that?
what
Was the etiquette?
okay, so the etiquette demonstration, we would actually take the kids, you know, just through the process of eating and what the appropriate utensils are. Tie, of course, that was all a part of it, right? How to tie a tie. Some parts of it include how to shake hands, right, and how to introduce yourself, but largely the process of eating, which I thought was really cool. And what I loved is once the kids got that, it was like a skill that they had, right? Like they cracked the code. And then let's go to the restaurant right now because they wanted to sit down and really put that into action.
Use that salad for it.
Yeah. And you know, to be honest with you, there were tons of adults like, you know what, I didn't know that, you know, and so, you know, and so, you know what I mean? So those little things, you know, which folks kept, you know, I thought were fantastic, right? You know, so it was like you crack the code, right? And now it's like I can now use this.
And those are things that people will retain for years and years to come, right? I mean, how often you sit down at a table and recall. I went to an etiquette class when I was their age, and I recall, you know, the whole thing.
That's right.
And
That's
you
right.
use it in so many different professions.
Improve my
social
skills,
settings.
I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah. Chris?
Well, for me, it is, we didn't always get to sit in to the sessions at the school because, you know, we were just busy all the time. So it was obviously the two things that Sydney mentioned, going to the 90 Center and actually going to the office building, not necessarily into the labs, but I remember the first time
Just in the
us
office.
seeing the office, it was like amazing what the office looked like inside. And the big conferencing screens and that whole that was like, I was impressed. So, you know, I know they were impressed, but one of the sessions I do remember at school when we were having the Black History contest.
Oh yeah.
And so, you know, for me, history is my
That's your
thing.
thing.
Again, that's something we were
That was
talking
Chris's
about
thing,
earlier
that's
in
true.
Black history. I mean, just history in general and me
Yeah.
sharing, you know, my family history with my daughter, that whole lot thing. But we would have like a little contest and I would be
That
one
was
of
it.
the
That's
team.
it.
And they would
So
just be
competitive.
so amazed that I would know all the answers and they would say I was cheating and all of that. So I
That's
really
it.
got to take
Okay.
that
That
Black
was,
history.
you know, that was a big thing though. That I love that, right? Again, because I think a lot of us were learning stuff, but also we were educating a lot of folks who just
Who
didn't.
didn't know.
So again, I always go back to the fact that mentoring was two-way.
Yeah.
We would give it to the kids, but it was intentional that the kids mentor others and expose them so they can be transition figures. Because many of the folks in that room were going to be hiring folks later in their career, right? So we wanted them to be comfortable, you know, with all of that beauty in that room, right? And that's a big thing. Yeah.
One of the vivid memories I have of the program was our fashion show, where so we tried to think of creative ways to teach tangible lessons in our mentoring program. So our fashion show was about what to wear and what not to wear for interviews, and the students had ballots, like it was Fashion Week, and they would identify different categories, like too tight, too short, too loud, dressed for success, and they would have to identify who was dressed for success. And the people who were the models were the mentors. And what I liked about that is that they could see the mentors in a much more relaxed setting, because a lot of times people came in their professional outfits, and so they could see them too short, too tight, big hair, too much makeup, too much jewelry, And so it was a good exercise. We had music, which was a lot of fun, but it was just nice to see everybody kind of loosen up and really kind of get to know each other, but teaching a valuable lesson about the things that you can consider and should consider when you're going to an interview. Things that will get you written off right away, right? If you're not presenting yourself in the best light. And so I thought that was a lot of fun. But I think what I appreciated about the mentors of the program and the administrators who supported us was we came up with so many different creative ways to reach the students. It wasn't just grade review, it wasn't just lecture, it was interaction, and an exchange both ways, which I thought was very impactful. So I want to talk about the impact of the program and what you think people got out of it.
Well, I think the greatest example is having Gabrielle here right now, right? When you start talking about, what they got out of it, we still, like you and I'm sure you guys all, because you probably have thousands of kids just as a result of what you were doing, which by the way is one of the best parts of being an educator, right? You can get thousands of kids that know you and love you. We get a small part of that when we mentor, right? And I was thinking about that as we came in, right? For 7 years, how many kids cycle through the program? I don't know, I think we typically have between about 20, 30 kids, in the program, although we mentor them from sophomore until senior year, which is also a pretty important point. But again, this is the greatest example right now. You have her on the phone, right, of what it can do and then what you get out of it, right? And I think for us, it keeps us relevant, right? Because you're learning from kids in different generations, right? And you get exposed to stuff you just didn't know, right? I mean, I learned a lot, from the kids, right? Good and bad, right? So that piece, is important. And the other thing is that, you actually satisfy sort of a God-given need. A lot of people don't really understand, or no, they probably do. They just don't understand what's happening when they want to mentor, right? You naturally want to reach out and help people, right? This didn't just start in Greece. This was in Africa. It was a part of what we did, right? When you pass on information, and this, you still have to do it today. When you think about our societies right now, whether it's a single parent home, or even if there are two parents there, but it's dysfunctional, whatever it is, when you can help, that's what you do, right? So just being able to help, that to me is probably one of the biggest things I get out of the program.
I guess for me, when I think about impact, I think about that this is our responsibility. Educating, empowering, inspiring future generations, that's what we're here for. So in every facet of my life, through my sorority, through my job, through my son's school, through my school, it's my purpose in life to reach somebody, inspire them to be better, do better, leave things better than how they had it. So I wanted to impart that on other students.
It's your legacy.
I'm like, it doesn't stop with you.
Right.
We're reaching back like that Sankofa bird, because when we make it, we have to reach back so that you all understand that that's your responsibility to make sure that the next generation can do, will do, and can succeed. So that's the purpose of mentoring. And I want people to focus on the diversity can mold this program to make it, any mentoring program to make it stronger. Although Dana and I are in two different sororities.
Yes, we are.
When we met, we instantly bonded. Yes.
Yeah. We're super cool. I mean, it was, you're like a sister.
Yes, we instantly bonded because our vision was the same. We wanted the same outcome.
Passionate about the same things.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that's why you all are here. Because I appreciate your heart for mentoring and for giving back. And I just think that it's, compared to all the things that you can be doing with your time, it's relatively easy to do. It doesn't necessarily have to be a formal program, and we'll talk about what it takes to be a mentor and what it takes to be a mentee, but I want people to be inspired to give back, because I do think part of who you are is a measure of what you give to others. It's not just about you and your individual success, but the communal success of those around you, those you are able to touch and inspire and pour into your lessons learned. I am definitely a product of mentoring. I've had mentors all along the way. Mel is a mentor of mine because he's a lot older than me. But I'm joking. But professionally, in my career,
Old
you know, Mel and I work together, and he has mentored me, and so the mentoring is always ongoing, and it doesn't. No one's too old to be a mentee. No one's too young to be a mentor.
That's right.
So I just think that that's all very important. So this, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I didn't like chance to say anything.
Go.
So, but I think more like what Sydney was saying, it's hard to talk about mentoring just in the context of that structured program, because being in education, we mentor students officially, unofficially, all the time. One thing so like you saying, yard and yard is, you know, these type moments are why you do it, you know, or it's just, and I will say that, let me say, although everybody can do something, everybody's not really cut out to do it
To be a mentor.
to where it needs to be done. Because one thing you have to understand, especially dealing with our students, or the kind of students we dealt with, is when you commit to them,
That's it.
they go full.
They go- that's
They
it.
go
back
hard
to
for
you,
you.
and they expect that from
And they
you. So
expect
you can't halfway with them.
Right.
So that's why I say it ain't for everybody. But I remember one time when I first started at Crane, and I would always keep my door open because I always wanted kids and people to feel they was okay for them to come in. I remember a student, I can't even remember the girl's name right now, but I remember somebody walking by my office and said, "Hey girl, you in the office again?" She said, "This ain't the office you get in trouble in. This is the office you get help from."
Boom,
And
that's,
so
that's
like meant
yeah.
more to me than probably most anything I've ever heard in
Oh,
my
yeah.
career.
Oh, yeah.
That's how she felt, like this is a place where I could come get help. And then just, it's been so many times over the year, and I'm sure Cynthia said the same thing, where students, you never really thought about your relationship with
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
or the impact of your relationship with them, and the parent will come up to you like, "Oh, you Mr. Roberts, my kid talk about you all the time." You're like, this kid, really? Like, you really don't realize what kind of impact you have. Students say, "Oh man, this my," come back 4 or 5 years after they graduate and tell another kids like, "This is my man. I remember he was the first one to show me how to tie a towel, or the first one to," and again, stuff that you never really thought about or thought it meant that much to them. And you do it does. And as we talk about Facebook, I'm Facebook friends with a few of my teachers. I had the pleasure of going.
I hope they're watching, sharing this show right now.
They're all.
Share about it. Thank
But
you.
went to one of them, I think 80th birthday party this summer, and people was like, "You still in touch with your?" These are my grammar school teachers. My 8th grade teacher.
I
Some
thought
of
you
my
might say there
other.
was a student. Wait a minute.
No, some of my other teachers was there. And, one of my favorite teachers was there. She drove a Corvette when we was
Okay.
in elementary school, and she was telling everybody, she's like, "I heard he has a Corvette now because of me." And I was like, you know what, really, you are one of the reasons I have a Corvette today, because as a kid, seeing you, and that was the first time I rode with one was hers. And saying, like, this is somebody that looks like me that I know has
There you
this
go.
car, my dream car. Maybe you always believe that I can get one. So all this stuff is just kind of full circle. And I would always tell students that, stuff I do for you, I'm not looking for you to come back and do something for me. I was like, I'm hoping I'm never in a position where you have to do
Right.
something
Right.
for me. What I want you to do is do something for the people coming up behind you. So, that's kind of my whole take on this whole circle of what we do and reaching out and helping each other and trying to make this world a better place, really what it boils down to.
Yeah. There's countless stories of how you don't recognize how you've touched people, whether it be something you said or advice you gave or words of encouragement that really, really matter. I would volunteer at my alma mater, Spelman College, to welcome in the incoming freshwomen, and you're out there just being silly and trying to make them feel welcome, and they're realizing that they're getting ready to separate from their parents, and they're excited about school. But just the stories now, when I go back to my college homecoming, we talked about the homecoming challenge and all of that, which is very exciting because I've seen some of my old teachers too, but what was so exciting about it to me and what I didn't really recognize is that the people in the year behind me and the 2 years behind me, when I would volunteer to welcome the students, that's how they remember me. They're like, you were that crazy girl singing and laughing and screaming and welcoming us, you know, kind of taking our mind off of, and some of my friends to this day are people that I knew then. And it's just, you don't recognize the impact you have on people, and I just think it's so important. So before we wrap up, I want to talk about two things.
That close?
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, I mean, it really did go by quick.
But I want to talk about, because I think some people are like, this is so great. Like, I want to talk about what it takes to be a mentor. You know, we didn't go to mentoring school. We don't have a certificate in mentorship. But what advice would you give people who may be shy or don't really have access to children or other people that they feel like they can mentor?
Yeah.
What does it take to be a mentor?
I think just be your authentic self. Give the best part of yourself, right? I think some folks are trying to figure it out like it's magic. It's not. You know, it's about really just creating relationships. Be interested in the other person. That's it. And care. And if you do that and you're consistent, much like you said, depending on the population, when you commit, you better commit, right? You know, and so I think it's just, again, just being consistent, to give the best part of yourself. That's really good.
I guess in conjunction with what you're saying is knowing who you are as a person and what you have to offer. So you don't try to do something or be something that you're not.
Kids pick it up like,
Yeah, they
That's
see
it.
right through
They do.
phoniness,
They do.
or you trying to pretend you. Hey, I'm hip. I can relate to it. I mean, come on,
No.
be serious. Don't
that's
do
right.
that.
That's right.
Just really know who you are and what you have to offer, and give that. But understand it is a commitment.
So, along with what everyone else said, so time, commitment, energy, you gotta take the good with the bad, you have to be flexible, and you have to know what the end result is that you're looking for. So if you are looking to mentor a specific demographic, you need to seek that out. If you're looking to mentor and you want something back from it, you're in it for the wrong reasons. But if you want to impact children's lives, then mentoring would be a great opportunity to do that. Once you've committed, once you've identified what you want to get out of it, and
Do you guys have a need for mentors at your schools? She's a principal now at an elementary school.
yes, ma'am.
And Chris, you're an assistant principal at a high school. Could you use a mentor or two or 12?
Of course, we always could do mentors.
Oh, so yes, to elaborate, John B. Drake Elementary School, 2710 South Dearborn. We always have opportunities for young women to be mentored. So I have a 3rd through 5th grade program. I have a 6th through 8th grade program, both for young women, free. It's very difficult finding mentors for our young men.
Yeah.
And for that population, I'm a woman. There's only so much I can give. I look like their moms. They're like, she's yelling, you yelling, what's going on? So I'm interested in seeking mentors for our young men. We're looking at some robotics programs, looking at things where they can have hands-on interest outside of just athletics. I want something where they're challenged, because I have some brilliant students, and they need to be challenged. They need this energy to be channeled, and we do a good job, but I need some men so that they can see that it's tangible. This is who I can be. They can see a different image. They can change the narrative, and their futures can the trajectory can be changed for our babies. They just have to see it.
If you are a man, or if you know a man, please share the show. I do think there's a big need for male mentors to show up. I think that's very important.
Without a doubt.
I would also say, Yabrion, what does it take to be a mentee?
I think to be a mentee, you have to be open-minded. I think you have to be a follower first in order to be a leader. Like, I didn't listen to all of you guys, and I'm actually in process of becoming a leader for myself. So I think in order to be a mentee, you have to be open to hearing other people's talk. You have to be able to take criticism, whether it's good or bad. I think all of it molds you into being a leader.
I think that's right. I think both parties need to be open, because I think a lot of times, sometimes mentors can approach a mentoring relationship like, this is how you're supposed to do this. This is how it's supposed to be done. And I think mentors often bring a lot of wisdom, but you also have to be flexible and understand that there are experiences that may have occurred that are outside of your knowledge base. And I think it's the same is true for mentees as well. Everybody's got that mentee who thinks they know it all, right? Can't be told anything. But that's a part of the mentoring relationship. And as you grow to trust each other and get to know each other, you learn to get the best of both worlds. One of the things that I grew to appreciate from my experience mentoring over the years is that you don't know what other people bring to the table. One of the things I appreciated and got a chance to understand was the hurdles that some of these students overcome just to get to school in the morning. Like you said, riding several buses, or coming from far away, or a home situation that may not be the most ideal to studying and quiet. Those things are so important, and I think having an appreciation for the people that you touch, the people that you influence is huge. It's huge. Any final thoughts or comments when it comes to mentoring?
Trust, and it goes both ways. For the mentee to have trust in the mentor, and vice versa. It's just like any other relationship. In order for that relationship to reach its fullest potential, you gotta have trust. I would always say that even in teaching, like, how can you teach somebody something that don't trust you? So, trust is huge.
I just want to thank everybody who's ever mentored, especially at my school, who's mentored me. We have lots of programs at Drake, but it's never enough. I want a one-to-one ratio. I mean, there are organizations that have embraced us, but I just want to add, just thank you for those that give back. It means a lot to us and to the students, and you'll see the impact of what you've done in years to come.
A little bit goes a long, long way. Mel, any final thoughts?
The only thing I got is just do it, right?
That's
And,
right.
That's it.
And you can have so much fun, because I did it with my friends, and it was through the mentoring program that I gained these friendships. And I just appreciate you all. We laughed together. We've supported each other through ups and downs, and I just appreciate you all just being my people. Just being my people. So thank you all for watching.
All love.
Please share the show. I think mentoring is such an important message that I want to share with others. Next week on Dana Being Dana, the Real Housewives of Naperville are back, y'all. We got more housewives coming, and we're gonna have a great time. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Have a good night.
Thank you.